Hello, everyone, and welcome to this bonus NASS episode. I am your host for this episode, Jose,
I am your other guy, George,
And I'm the girl who's barely seen anything, Marie.
but still enough to hit every category. And the
right?
reason is now that we've entered a new year, 2026, let's see if this year goes at the same pace as last year. If so, we should be done with it by next month, since 2025 decided it wanted to fly by. But after a full year of movies, we decided let's take the time to just highlight some of our favorite movies from 2025. So that's what we're going to be doing this episode. Let's see if it matches up with maybe some of the things that you've seen. Maybe it'll give you some ideas of things to see if you do, share similar taste to us. So with no further ado, I said let's get right into it. Let's not waste time and let's get into these movies. Now we're going to be doing this by genre instead of just doing like, hey, what's your top three movies of the year? Sometimes it's hard to do that just because we have love for different genres. And it's hard to compare movies from different genres and kind of we can do it, but it's a little harder. So,
Yeah. And what I like about
and
doing this way too is like sometimes it's hard figuring out what genres came out, what movies, which genre came out for a year. And you're like, man, I'm looking for a good horror, I'm looking for a good comedy from 2025. This is the best way to find out.
but with that, we are gonna start actually with action. A little high octane right off of the bat. I'll start us off here, and my choice for action is actually something that I saw recently, and that is Predator's Badland. This was one of my biggest surprises of the year. Because even though I am a fan of Prey and I am a fan of Killer of Killers, which were the other Predator projects from the same director. The first image of the Predator and the trailer that came out did not have me optimistic at all when I first saw it. I was like, oh no, no. Like you did so well with Prey. Like, what are you doing? You might be going too far left. Boy, was I wrong, and I am happy to be wrong in this case. This ended up being so much fun. It was closer to Killer of Killers than Prey in like tone and genre, but it dives deeper into the world and the lifestyle of the Japya. I always mispronounce it.
The Yautja,
Japya,
the
huh?
Yautja,
Yautja.
Yautja.
Yeah, species. Following the perspective of a predator as kind of the protagonist, which is something we haven't had before. No humans involved, which was great in this, again, because it gave us between those two choices of not having any humans involved, giving us perspective of the predator. It gave us something fresh for the franchise, at least when it comes to the movie show, animated movies, that aspect of it. I know we have comics that kind of give you that perspective, but just on that median. But the movie just did a good job of making you root for Predator's success by just kind of telling you an underdog story. You don't think Predator and you don't think underdog story when it comes to the Predator's end of things. And Trachtenberg is now 3 for 3 with me. So whatever comes next, he has my trust. So that's why Predator Badlands was my action pick.
I watched this when it came out in theaters, pretty much day one, and just like you, Jose, almost note for note, had the same feelings. I think we talked about it in our personal chat, just like this looks like shit.
Yeah.
You know? And then I left that theater with possibly one of the best experiences I had in a long time. Honestly, like this movie got some hate going towards it, and I think it was unjust because it's straight up 80s action. Like there's bombastic explosions, over the top freaking battle scenes and everything. Like the only thing it was missing was some one-liners, honestly. But
Mhm.
it having a stuck in this, it's not gonna work. It's not. But I thoroughly enjoyed all of it. I always think it's like switch out Deck's character, the main character, with like a Viking, a warrior, Native American, a Mongolian, and it's the same story. Because they're brutal human characters that we have in our real world that we don't shine lights on in positive ways, but they have those great stories of like going and enduring hardships, and just having true grit. That's what Deck has. He has all those things. But because he's a predator, they're like, oh, well, I don't want a predator to do that. I love that my Predator did that. I've always associated the Predators with those kinds of things, you know. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I also feel that it caters to another genre thoroughly well, which we'll hit on later on, and I'll talk about later. But yeah, awesome pick, belongs on this list 100%.
I agree with you. Marie, did you have a chance to see it?
No, this is why I'm the girl who hasn't seen much because I didn't watch a lot of movies this year. I realized when I was making my list, I'm like, oh, there's ones I've seen that I really enjoyed, a few that I was like, meh, but I haven't seen. I'm like, wow, all these came out. I haven't seen these, and I don't know why. It's like I totally forgot about this Predator movie. I haven't purposely not watched it. I just haven't watched it, but your reviews are making me want to watch it more. And you know what? When I would see reviews online, like just on social media, but with the movie review pages I follow, I didn't see a lot of negative reviews for it. So that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
So
was a
that's
lot
yeah,
fair.
of
I'm
pre-release negativity from it.
oh yeah. Like the
Yeah.
fear, which I mean is justified. I think always when there's a new installment of a precious franchise coming out, there's always that fear of like, oh God, this looks bad or this is gonna be bad because you're already setting yourself up for disappointment. Like you're gonna ruin it for me. And I love when you said, Jose, I love that I was wrong. And it's so good when you feel like you're
Yeah.
gonna be disappointed by a film and you go in, you're like, oh, that was a pleasant surprise. That's the best type of wrong to be. So yeah, you guys are making me want to watch it. So that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I will
And I
say we
would
also have a review that I may have done on our page,
Hmm.
which I point out the pop culture reviewers who naysayed this, and I kind of break it down where I believe they were wrong. It's my opinion, but if you want to see an in-depth detail of this movie, check out our page. I'll put a link somewhere in
I don't know
here
which
so
way
you
I'm
can follow
pointing.
us.
Yeah.
which now I can watch. I had to avoid
Yeah,
since I
yeah.
hadn't watched it yet.
Yeah, let
Um,
me know your thoughts. Maybe you might see something where I was totally wrong, but I think we're gonna be on the same page.
yeah. And I would like to rephrase what you said, Marie. You said the girl who hasn't watched much. I would rephrase it to the girl who has a lot to look forward to when it comes to
Oh,
movies.
Ooh, yeah.
that's a positive spin on it. Thank you, Jose.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll move on to you, George. What was your pick for action flick?
For mine, I'm going with one that I actually just watched recently, which was F1 the movie by Joseph Kosinski. Did an amazing job a few years back with Top Gun Maverick. This movie has been rightfully so compared to Top Gun Maverick as the racing version of that. And I would say that it there elevates it even further than what Maverick did. Because Maverick put you in the cockpit of a fighter jet. This puts you in every freaking inch of a freaking NASS, I mean, like a Formula One racing car. Like every bit of this is just spectacular. It has your heart racing at every turn, and it deserves to be watched on a big screen, whether it's in the theaters or at home. I watched it at home. Luckily, I got a big ass fucking screen in my living room with a phenomenal sound system, and I had that thing cranked up to all the 11s, and it was just phenomenal. Like, there's an opening scene in this where he's in the Daytona race, and it's just this wide scope of fireworks blasting everywhere as the cars are zooming by, and you can see the sparks landing on the cars, and it's like it feels so dangerous at every corner. It's just amazing. Also, Brad Pitt is just charisma oozing off the screen at every moment. Like, this guy is having so much fun in the latter half of his career, and he's allowing us to have as much fun with him. Like, I feel like he's just like that older brother who's taking you along to the party. You know, like, this just it's just a super fun, feel good movie, and it allows our hero to have his day. You know, like, I feel like we haven't had too many movies where like the hero gets to be the hero. Sometimes they're undercut by a side character or an insert myself into story person. You know, like, he gets to have his day. Just a tremendous film, really good, lots of fun. And when I say, and you hear action, you're thinking like, racing car movie, really? Yeah, really. It is filled with tension and excitement. So freaking good.
This was my action pick until I saw Predator
Ah,
Badlands. So I actually had to move this to my
nice.
drama pick, which we'll be discussing later, because I was like, I can't leave this movie out. We don't really get good sports movies anymore. At least
Yeah.
not like we used to get when I was younger, 80s, 90s. Like we used to get some really good sports movies. And this movie reminded me of that. And I'm not into racing, but like I was fully invested in every aspect of this movie, especially the races. Not
Yeah.
only were the characters interesting, but they get you invested, and in the races, the way, and you kind of touched on this, the way they were filmed and presented was great. It had the tension. People, and I've been one of those kind of makes fun of racing, like, all right, let's go for another loop. How exciting can that be?
Yeah.
But like this movie found a way to make the racing exciting, where there was, parts where I was literally on the edge of my seat, for certain moments, just not knowing what's going to happen next and excited to see what the result was going to be because the movie does throw in some surprises. Some things don't end or go the way you may believe they're going to go. So it kind of it keeps you on the edge of like things might go right, things might go wrong, or things might go somewhere completely opposite of what I may think. So this one's definitely worth to watch, even if you're not into racing. This is probably the most fun I've had with a racing movie since like Rush, with
That's a good
like
one.
yeah, with Hemsworth,
Yeah.
like over a decade ago. So yeah, this it was my drama pick. So I great pick here. I definitely agree.
So this was my action pick. I didn't even have to think about it. I already knew 100%. The thing is that I actually know a little bit about F1 racing because my husband has been into it for several years. I saw the first season of Drive to Survive, the Netflix, like the F1 documentary. I didn't see the
Oh yeah.
second season. There's drama why I didn't see the second season. But anyway, so I know who some of the drivers are, the old drivers. I have a favorite driver. So I knew who, like some backstory and stuff to it. One of my favorite things about this movie, is that they filmed some of the scenes during real F1 races. And all the drivers that they have, not all the drivers, not like Brad Pitt, and then there's the other main guy, I forget the actor's name. I just had it pulled up and I exited it. But anyway, but a lot of the drivers in it are the real F1 drivers. I like that it kept you immersed into the real world of F1 by keeping it seeming like, well, by having it all real F1 drivers racing against them, like Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, and everything like that. And then so they were in the movie in the background, they're in the movie on the podium. They had real F1 commentators doing interviews, doing everything like that. So it felt like real immersion into the actual world of F1 racing, yet also just being its own. It was just a movie, man. How often do you just like watch a movie and there's no commentary, there's no nothing, and you're just in this awesome freaking action movie start to finish, and it's just fun and emotional. I cried. Um, I cried in it too, but it was just like a good action flick, but with depth and a lot of excitement from start to finish, and like a good message, like not like a commentary message, but a good message about, not giving up and all this stuff. And Brad's Pitt character was so good. And he also kind of had the edge to him, like his character in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He kind of had that,
Yeah.
like, which I liked because I love his character in there. So that was my pick. No questions asked. I appreciated everything about it. And it was just so well done. And I loved it from beginning to end.
Next, let's move into one of our favorite categories. We're just going to go to horror. For this one, I chose Black Phone 2. See, I like the first installment of Black Phone, but in the end, like it felt like something that should have been a one-off and no sequel needed. Not only did they figure out a way to make a sequel, but they found a way to create a sequel that, in my opinion, surpassed the original, which is a feat that
Mhm.
is hard to do with any type of movie. We don't see it very often. They were able to expand the lore a little bit more and add it to what we saw in the original. This movie also had a different effect on me in that it actually made me dislike the Nightmare on Elm Street remake even more than I already disliked it. Yeah, because
Uh,
as I was watching it, I just kept thinking, if you were gonna do a Nightmare on Elm Street remake with a more serious tone, this is the approach you would take. And it had elements that I was watching, and I'm like, you can tell they were inspired by Nightmare on Elm Street. and what Freddy brings to the table, and the horror and the dream state and what is real, what is not, all of that aspect. And they pulled it off in a way that, as much as I really disliked the remake, it made me dislike it more because it was like it was right there. They just showed us how you could have done it. So it had that double effect in this of like I really enjoyed it. Sequel surpassed the original one, and I think the fact me being a Nightmare on Elm Street thing not only made me hate that one, but it made me appreciate this movie more because it gave me some of those elements that I have not gotten from one of my favorite franchises and probably will never get from my favorite franchise like moving forward. So it deserved for me a spot on this list for those reasons.
I haven't seen it. I'm sorry again. I haven't. I didn't really care for the first one, so I wasn't like rushing to see this one. And when I saw the trailer and the ice and the skating, I don't know. I just was like, I don't know. But then I know you liked it previously you mentioned, and I was like, okay, maybe I will give it a try. Maybe. For so far Predator Badlands, yeah, I want to watch it, but Black Phone 2, I don't know. Maybe, but I love that you liked it.
I unfortunately have not seen it yet either. It's still on my queue to watch. And for the same reasons that you just said, because I've seen the trailer, I think it's like, this is a Nightmare on Elm Street. And I'm all for it. Like it makes the most sense to go this route if you're gonna make a sequel. Because when I heard sequel, it's like, he died. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You know? But then I saw it's like, oh, okay, this makes the most sense. I can get behind this. And like, everything that I saw in the trailer alone was like the creep factor was there to a new level. And I felt like Ethan Hawke's character and how he was like, yeah, this could be a totally like a Freddy Krueger-esque person, sans the jokes, of course. I'm glad to hear. If I needed like an assurance that it was worth going into, you're my guy. Being the Freddy guys, as you can see in our backgrounds here, if you look in Jose's corner, there's a Freddy there, you got a Freddy in my thing. It's important, to have the essence of that movie exist. So I'm that much more excited now to get into this film, seeing you gave it that much praise.
George, going to you, what was your horror pick?
My horror was Bring Her Back from the Filippo brothers. They done it again. All right. I went into this with high hopes and they did not disappoint, honestly. I think they definitely kicked it up a notch. The thing that was most surprising for me in this was Sally Hawkins. I'm used to seeing her in many other things where she's just this sweet, meek lady who's just like adorable, and like I just want to like give her a hug and put her in my pocket. Like I just love her so much and everything I see her in. And somehow she was just like this most unsettling character that I've ever seen. Like she creeped me out at times. There's just certain like looks she had and certain things she was doing where I was like, this lady's not right. And granted, I knew that from the trailer alone, but watching the movie just elevated that feeling a lot more. But I love the creep factor in this. It definitely movie gets under your skin in a lot of ways. And I think it actually has possibly one of the most comparable possessions of a child that I've seen since The Exorcist. And I know, Jose, you're not much for The Exorcist, but like for anyone who's into like that's still the pinnacle, of Exorcist movies. Of what it's seen a child being possessed by a demon, and having that haunting you during like the daytime kind of feeling. This child that was in this movie had moments where I was just like, like I felt
I know what
contorted.
moment. The
Yeah,
moment it just popped in my head
yeah,
right
I bet.
away.
And I was like, well, there's no way I can show this to my wife. Like, she's not watching this movie. That's not happening. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I don't know if I'm going to watch it again and again just because of the fact like there is what happens to a child, and I just feel for the kid so much. But the Filippo brothers have a good way of telling a story and keeping you guessing of what's going to happen for each character, and they have a good way of stealing hope away from you.
This is one of the ones I was debating. I did enjoy this one at all, and I agree with you regarding Sally. And I think the fact that that's when you see her, you think of that because of her past roles, and they use that because they kind of toy with that, especially in the beginning of the movie. They kind of use that to kind of settle you in, make you feel a little comfortable before she kind of you start seeing the unhingedness and the creepiness like to her. But yeah, this was definitely enjoyable. It doesn't lean as much into the horror aspect as I probably would have preferred, and I want to see them going
Yeah.
forward lean more towards the horror. But they, for me, nailed down the psychological, emotional aspects. They did it with their first movie, and they did it with this one, and I think that's one of the things I enjoyed the most because I wasn't getting the horror aspect, but I always enjoy the psychological aspects when it comes to these movies and just kind of seeing where each character was at and how the situation was affecting each character, and that's kind of they got through it. So this is definitely an enjoyable watch. They've done enough to warrant me, having excitement for their next project. Mary, I think you saw this one, but you felt differently, if I recall correctly.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. I just didn't like it. I watched it a while ago and I didn't like it. And I don't know. I'm trying to remember like putting myself in the position of watching it and I remember like the whole movie being like, I don't really like this. And it wasn't like I was turned off by anything. I didn't feel anything for it. I was like, I don't know. I wish I could like come fresh from watching it, like remember all the reasons why. I just remember that I'm kind of I don't want to say I'm alone in not liking it, but I'm a rarity because I know a lot of people really like it and praise it highly. And then when I watched it, I was super excited to watch it. And I was like, because people are like, oh, this is so the most disturbing movie. Maybe that's why. Maybe I was like, okay, when's the really disturbing? Oh, so he's doing this right now. Okay. I don't know. Something about it didn't affect me in ways, which is weird since kid stuff really highly affects me sometimes, most of
Yeah.
the time. But yeah, I didn't like it, y'all. I don't know. I'll have to rewatch it to explain all the reasons why. I have no notes on this movie, but I just remember I wasn't a fan. It just didn't do anything for me.
And what is your pick for this category?
My pick is originally my drama pick, but I have to put it somewhere. And I couldn't really pick one for horror because there was ones that I were like, oh, I like this one, but did I love this movie? No, I didn't. There's some movies, horror movies I enjoyed, and you can tell me if this is technically horror, but it's more drama in my eyes. But well, mine's Frankenstein.
It's gothic horror.
It is gothic horror, and it's just a classic horror movie. But this movie got me so hard. This one where I say, bring her back made me feel nothing. I felt this entire movie so deeply, and I've talked about it a lot, and I had to go through like messages I've sent to people about why I love this movie to be like, I know why I loved it, but I just want to get like the right words. But I've seen some reviews and people being like disappointed in this movie and how far it strays from the original story, but me not fully knowing, like reading the book or knowing fully the original story and how far it would stray, and going into it being like, this is going to be totally like Del Toro re-envisioning and coming from somewhere deep within him and how he perceives the story. I kind of just had like an open mind with that part. And I know I've talked to you guys about this, but the psychological slash emotional horror of this movie and the deep sadness and pain coming from like the stories of generational trauma and a lot of pain and suffering that men have to go through. To me, it was like a love story to men. I've said this to both of you, how Frankenstein was put together by men who died in battle. And it's almost like he would be carrying all the pain from those men who died. And he's the embodiment of all the pain that men have to carry, from Frankenstein himself and the pain that he is passing on to him that he got from his father, to all the men who he's carrying around physically. Just the amount of pain was horrific in this movie. And I really felt it. And I thought it was just the most beautiful story. And even though it wasn't horror per se, I guess you could say it could be body horror in some sense. And like gothic horror, like you say, is a classic horror story. But to me, it was like just the horror of people with like, I guess, yeah, generational trauma as they call it, and anybody who doesn't feel loved by like a parent, and everything like that horrific real life stuff put into a gothic fantasy horror movie. It was just like, it was too real. It was so real. Like I felt it like viscerally, a horrific pain inside. So that was my pick for horror, because it was a horror that I wasn't expecting to feel, and I felt it so deeply that it just affected me still to this day. And I've only watched it once because I gotta make sure I have enough Kleenex to watch it again.
And time.
And time. You know what though? You know what's weird about that movie? It's like a movie that feels like it's too long, but I feel like I could have been in that world going and living his story and seeing his perspective for longer. Like I could have been in that thing for 10 hours with him feeling everything. You know what I mean? But then as a film, you're like, okay, yeah, they probably could have shaved this down, done this differently. But at the same time, I didn't want out. I wanted to be in there. And it's just visually gorgeous and stunning. Yeah.
It's definitely a great movie. This was almost my pick for drama. It was definitely funny
It
because I did,
was mine
yeah,
too.
because I did enjoy this one, and I think, I mean, you nailed most of the stuff regarding this movie, but just the emotional drive of the movie and how much it makes you invest in these characters. You know, it is especially, you know, with the monster, quote unquote, where, you know, this movie, it kind of makes you overprotective over this character as you're watching it. I just felt that sense of like needing to protect this character in almost you know, this inner like anger and upsetness when certain things were happening to the character, because it makes you sympathize so much with the plight of this character in its monstrous shape, the innocence that's attempted to be corrupted by those around him in the world, and in, you know, this monster not allowing that to happen to like the very end. And it you can't help but sympathize. And if the movie can create that emotional connection with even one of its character, I feel that's a success, especially for this type of movie. And this was able to do it pretty easily, where at the end I found myself sympathizing with multiple characters, but just kind of myself almost feeling like a parent to that character, of like, leave that character alone, give them good things, give them happy things and all that. So, you know, the execution was there beyond the normal Guillermo visuals that, you know,
Hmm.
he's always going to nail. You don't even need to talk about because it's all automatic, you know. But sometimes his projects can fall into a thing where the writing and the story can be a little empty. This was not one of them.
I'm thankful that you put this on there. I purposely kept Frankenstein off of my list. You will not hear me say this name again because I knew I can count on you. I knew you would put this on your list somewhere, so I still get to
Yeah.
talk about it. Because as Marinos, Frankenstein is my favorite book ever, and I was very critical with this movie in different ways, but that did not take away from the fact that I felt the same way as y'all felt. It's still such a powerful film. And you talked about how you didn't want to leave this world. I think that's where Guillermo is always masterful. His world building is like no other. You know, he creates these places where like they feel like places you want to visit and you want to take part in, because they're so alive. Like they feel like they have a heartbeat when you see the scenery that he creates and the world that these characters get to live in. Everything about it is fucking amazing, honestly. And there is one scene that I was so glad that he did not deviate from, and that is that moment with the creature and the blind old man in the shack, because that is to me one of the most important moments in the story for him and like his
Oh,
development.
yeah.
So yeah, no,
Yeah.
I still love this movie. You know, despite the changes, it doesn't matter. It'll get rewatched again next year. I don't know if I can rewatch it like on repeat like some of the other movies we talked about, but it's definitely a must watch and a rewatch.
Good choice. I'm glad it was included on this list
Yeah.
somewhere. All right, let's go on to our next category. And this is going to be sci-fi. My choice for this one was actually the Superman movie. Now, this is the start of the new live action DCU, and after the downfall of the old one, you know, this movie had a lot to live up to. But in the end, I feel this movie delivered what I personally wanted from a Superman movie. You know, the heart and hope that exemplifies the character was the driving force in this movie, as it should be. And on top of that, it delivers some strong performances from the leads that felt more like the characters, and, you know, had more accurate dynamics, you know, than we had gotten in previous iterations. Was it perfect? No. But it's what I when I finished watching, I was like, this was a Superman movie, and that's what I wanted to feel with it. And the movie got me excited for what's to come in like the new DCU, and there was enough in there for me to, you know, revisit multiple times and just enjoy it and have a fun watch with it. So that's why Superman was my pick for this one.
I haven't seen it.
Ditto.
You haven't
No,
seen it either?
no. Wait, the ditto is for Jose.
Okay, phew.
Of
Sorry.
course, I watched Superman.
I know, that's why I was like, what the hell?
There's
What
Superman right
happened
there.
to you?
I can't have a Superman behind me and not watch Superman. I went 4 years of high school
Weird
having a
timing.
Superman chain around my neck. Of course, I watched Superman.
Aw.
Another one that I did not put on my list because I was hoping to God that Jose was going to put it on his. I thought Superman was a buttload of fun. Superman is probably the first time, and correct me if I'm wrong, audience or anyone on this panel, but I think it's the first time we've had a real superhero movie. Like a true depiction of a comic book put into a movie, because it just felt like panels from a book were put on every screen. The only thing that was missing from some of the action was a full-on like crack or boom word. You know what I mean? Like in Batman, it's like boom pow. Like if we had that in the movie, it would have been 100%. That's all it was missing. I felt like Gunn captured the world that Superman lives in so well. Like you said, it's not perfect. It definitely has little things that I could have done without and everything. But all in all, it found a good middle ground for me where like it's still great acting, great storytelling, and great like cinema, while taking the cheesiness of like, remember like the early 2000s, comic book movies where it's just like maybe too tongue-in-cheek at times, whatever, or even like some of the 80s stuff. Like it just found that sweet spot where it's like, you can possibly give me some awards for some things, special effects wise, and other stuff, but also just turn your brain off. Let's just have a good time. Pop some popcorn and let's just go. I felt like this captured, and I gotta say, this is another one of those films, kind of like Predator, where I saw those early photos of like David Cornsweet in the outfit, and I was like, this is not Superman. That's not his suit. This is not the guy. Especially after coming off of like Henry Cavill and like his embodiment of this character on and off screen. It's like, I'm not seeing it. But then it just started playing, and I'm seeing him talk and everything. It's like, holy shit, it's Superman. It's Superman. Like
Didn't
he's
look
the
like
guy.
Superman to you, but then he took off the glasses.
No, like, I say he crushed it. I thoroughly love David Corenswet as Superman now, and I can't wait to see him as the character again. And we got an amazing Lex Luthor from this movie.
Yes. Yes. What a contrast from the last Lex Luthor. Uh, George, what was your sci-fi pick?
It's one that we have talked about already, and that is Predator Badlands.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Correct.
that is
So
my
we have
sci-fi.
discussed that.
Yeah,
So
but here's what I will add to it towards why it is a good sci-fi, because I left that out earlier. And for me, a big thing with sci-fi is it's always there's a tech aspect to it with a lot of sci-fi growing up, and a good one to me shows how tech affects us and our humanity, and how we relate with it, how much we rely on it, and we get to see a lot of that within Deck and how he uses his tools from his own planet, and then the new tools that he has to acquire from this new planet he's on, whether that be with the synthetics that are on there or the organic life forms that are on the planet that he now had. Like, he doesn't bend himself to these things like how he would with like needing the cloak, like he was reliant on those stuff back in his home planet, but over here he bends the tech of that world to his will. And I love how that whole thing plays out. And it's very much a question that you have to ask yourself, even within our own day and age, of like how we rely on our cell phones or stuff like that. Like it talks about those kind of things in that kind of way. So there's like a depth to it, to a movie that's action based, that you might not think about. And that's what I thought was really good sci-fi about this movie.
and before we go to Marie, I do want to add something to that element that you're discussing. And for those for you video game peoples out there, it gave me hints of like Mega Man, where as he
Ooh,
goes
yeah.
through things, his abilities, he kind of gains new abilities, new powers as he makes it through things. So as I was watching this movie, I'm like, oh, it gave me hints of like Mega Man as he kind of developed his technology, his
Yeah,
skills
yeah.
as he made it through certain levels per se. So that was definitely a good touch. Marie, what is your sci-fi pick out of the plethora of sci-fi movies that you've knocked out this year?
That's a good question, Jose. The movie I'm picking. And although I didn't like the whole thing, but I did like most of it. I loved most of it, to be honest. Loved it, most of it. And that is Begonia. I was skeptical to watch this movie. I mean, the premise of the movie really intrigued me a lot. But I was skeptical to watch it because of how much I deeply within my soul loathed Poor Things. So I was like, if there's any elements at all, like poor things in this movie, except for visuals, well, most visuals, then I'm like, no, but then it wasn't. So thank goodness. The premise and the context, loved. Anything to do with conspiracy theories, anything like that, love. All the performances were absolutely perfect. I liked the score, was epic. Everything was done really well, shot really well. There's parts of the ending that I really, really enjoyed, but there's other parts of the ending that kind of ruined it for me. So even though I didn't love this movie in all of its entirety, I loved 95% of it. And I was intrigued the whole way through. There was things that happened in it that I was like, oh yeah, oh yeah. Like I was just like I felt a lot of it. I was on board with a lot of it. And that's all I will say. It was really well done. But the ending did it almost stuck the landing for me, but didn't. Say
So
that.
it sounds kind of like the description, the review that we had for like Substance, where it's like
Oh,
95% of it
Yeah,
was like, yeah, and then like the last
that's
little
what
bit.
it's. Oh, you know what, Jose? Kind of like that for different reasons. Mine was more like story elemental for this one that I didn't like it, and the other one was more like not even story or substance. It was more like too. All right, calm down. And this was just but yeah, if you're absolutely right.
but
Like
very similar.
95% were just, yes, similar feels.
I haven't seen this one yet, but it is on my queue. I do like her, and I can't think of his name
Jesse
right now.
Plemons, man.
Jesse
Jesse
Plemons.
Plemons.
Jesse Plemons. Oh,
Yeah,
he is
he is
this movie.
amazing.
Yeah, he
So
destroys this role,
Yeah.
destroys it.
Yeah.
Because I too thoroughly enjoyed this movie. We both watched it the same day, ironically.
The same day, didn't know.
Everything about it, awesome. I also didn't hate Poor Things though. I was just torn with
oh,
Poor Things. I was conflicted with that movie.
I hated Poor Things.
Yeah. So
That
with
was
this,
rough to get through.
yeah,
Yeah, it
going
was.
into this, I was just like, all right, what's gonna happen here? How am I gonna feel with this adventure? And it had me hooked right from the beginning,
Mhm.
honestly. And it's because of Plemons. Plemons' performance in this
Yeah.
is so captivating. And he just, as a conspiracy theorist, I believed everything he said.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
I believed that he believed everything he said,
Yes.
the conviction that he puts
Yeah.
behind it. And I was like, damn, it's amazing. Like I was telling Jen about this. When I see him do a performance like this, it makes me think back to interviews I've seen with Kirsten Dunst. And she's asked of like, what do you think about your husband? How he is, and she's just like, she's always so complimentary of his
Mhm.
talent, of his skill, in a way that's like in awe of like, how am I married to such a talented man? Like he's just so amazing. I was like, he is
Mhm.
amazing. You're so
He
right.
is.
You're so like if he doesn't get awards like in the future, like he's just like he still feels underrated for what he can do on screen.
Mhm.
You give Plemons 5 minutes, and that's going to be some of the strongest 5 minutes in your movie. Like
Yeah,
he's
Civil
Yep.
going to
War,
steal the
right?
scene.
Yes,
Yes,
exactly.
still
I
the most
hated Civil
memorable
War,
scene
but
in
he
that
was so
movie.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also I have a little rant. All right, so just give me a moment here.
Yeah.
All right, there's a scene in this, and I'm not ruining anything for you, Jose, because you've seen the trailer, and in the trailer you see that Emma Stone's hair is shaved off. All right, so you get to see her hair getting cut off in the movie. It's really being cut off. She really does that, and it's something that I appreciate. It reminded me of my appreciation for actresses and women in film. They sacrifice so much. And this is not me being like male feminist or anything bullshit like that. It's like, no, it's about the craft. I appreciate the craft so much. And when someone's willing to sacrifice something for it, and women sacrifice a lot for movies and get no freaking reward out of that. There's no recognition. Men sacrifice zero. All right. And I mean that in the sense where like a man can't even shave his freaking mustache for a fucking part. All right. Cough, cough. Pedro Pascal, Jason Momoa, etc. All right, it's like your
Cavill.
your your job is to transform yourself into a character and make us believe, whatever the story is. And I've been getting really aggravated because within this year we have mentioned his name, Pedro, who's playing many characters, yet he's always looking the same. He's you're Reed Richards, have a clean shaven look, all right. You're gonna be freaking Blanca. Have a clean shaven look, Jason Momoa. All right. It's like these things annoy the crap out of me because it's a little thing. As men, Jose attests to this. It doesn't take long for us to grow facial hair. It's pretty freaking quick. And the thing is with this guy, like they're good looking guys. You're a good looking guy. You
Well,
can be. You don't
me
have. You don't have to shave.
maybe
You can
it's their
shave.
face.
You know, they don't have, the thing is, men who like I have a beard because I this is like they say, this is my makeup. I need this to look good. This is how I look awesome. This is the best I'm gonna look. If I get rid of this, I lose my powers. All right. I'm like Samson, but they're actors. That's their power. Their power is acting. Act, goddammit. I don't need you to have facial hair and everything you're in. I'm sorry. It just annoyed the crap out of me, all right? when I
Well,
saw
to
her,
be fair,
I saw her
Be
do that.
be more Christian Bale.
Seriously, yeah.
that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say though, to be fair though, Jesse Plemons lost a shit ton of weight for this role, and that would have been hard. And he's sacrificing his body, and they sacrifice their health too.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It's
she did
not all
shave her
men.
head.
It's not all men, but
No,
it's just
all men, but yeah,
you
yeah,
see it
Pedro
a lot
Pascal,
with
yeah.
dudes. Girls don't have that same thing. You know what I mean? I see because girls' hair is their thing. That's their crown. That's their main. Like it's an important feature, and I understand that. You know, especially as someone who had long hair most of his life, I get it. You know, and to just take it off for one scene because you know you can't do it again. You got to get it done right in one take. That's also the other aspect. It's like, see, the talent it takes to just do this thing one take and not do it again. You can't shave a mustache. I'm sorry. That's just my little
She
thing.
she Natalie Portman that's for sure.
Natalie
She V for
Portman,
Vendetta
Demi
that.
Demi
Demi
Moore,
Moore.
Mhm.
freaking Karen Gillan for every Avengers Guardians of the Galaxy movie, you know. But back to
Guys,
movies. Back
yes.
to
Now, moving on to our next category, we have drama. Now, my pick was already discussed. I already gave my opinion. My pick for drama was F1. So we will move on to George for this one. George, what was your drama pick?
Mine was Sinners. I needed to have this movie somewhere on this list, and drama is where I ended up landing. And I think it's still worthwhile to say it belongs in drama because the acting in this was top notch. Obviously, we got Michael B. Jordan, crushed it as two characters. He's been amazing for a while and probably deserves a lot more praise. I mean, he's been getting it. I'm glad he finally got it, you know, eventually, because I've been seeing a lot of articles when this came out. People was praising him. He deserved it. But to me, the standout was Miles Catan. I'll say Miles Catan. First time in a movie. And he's holding his own with freaking phenomenal actors. And I can't wait to see this kid in more movies. But like this movie, like we talked about in the past, such a good film. The music is a character within itself. That's like the spirit that connects all of us. And I thoroughly enjoy this movie. It's a must watch, a repeat watch. I've seen it a few times already. And yeah, I can't speak more highly about this movie, honestly. And it takes a character, this is the vampire, that is in gothic horror has always been sympathized with in some facet. You know, gothic horror like Frankenstein and Dracula and stuff. The monster is not the monster. Man is the monster. And that's how it is in this. Like I feel for the vampires. They're not the true evil in this movie for me. It's the other men that exist. And yeah, I love this movie so much, and the music and everything and the dancing.
I think this is a great pick. This is my suspense thriller pick, so I will talk about it in this one.
It's a versatile movie.
Yes, I could have put this in four different
Yeah.
categories, so it made it really good to still include it and put other movies in. The movie told a simple story, but it filled that story with interesting characters that I was invested in. You know, the like you talked about, George, the use of music and how the theme of music was interwoven throughout the story was very well done. You know, that by the time the shit hit the fan, you know, I cared enough about the characters that the deaths had an impact for me as I was watching it happen. And it wasn't just the main characters, some of the side characters. I was invested in all those characters. I was like, oh, damn, man, like I didn't want them to I didn't want them to go. I also enjoy like the different take, the different approach they took to the motivation of the vampires. You know, it wasn't your typical I'm hungry, I want blood, I need to feed type of motivation. You know, there was more of a cultural species preservation type of motivation from it, and more of a gain and an evolution type of hunger to the species, if that makes sense. That was their kind of motivation in it. So I do like that take that it with, and in the world that was built in it, not everything was fully addressed and fleshed out, but there was enough put in there that it left me wanting more from that world. there was certain aspect I was like, oh, I would like to see kind of what's happening with this. Oh, what happened before that? And stuff like that. So like, which they are going to expand in the world. I'm already kind of invested because there was enough breadcrumbs in there without detracting from the story to get me wanting to look in different directions. So I feel this delivered. It had multiple genres, and it was able to deliver amongst those multiple genres. Which, funny enough, the genre that everyone associates with it was probably the weakest aspect of it, which was the horror
Yeah.
aspect of it. It was probably the least out of all the genres in there, but it just delivers such an overall great movie that it's definitely worth being on this list.
You're right in saying that this is a very versatile movie, because everything that you guys felt about it, I felt the complete opposite.
Which we talked about right here.
Yeah, right. I was just gonna say, George and I actually did a review of Sinners, both like knowing that I really didn't like it and George really did like it. And if you want to see why I didn't like it, go check out that episode. And if you want to see two people have extremely different opinions on something yet talk to each other in a very polite, civil way, and that's possible, check out that episode with me and George. But I do appreciate both of your takes on it. I've talked to both of you about it separately, and I was like, I can see why you guys like it, but the things that you saw, I didn't see or feel. I just didn't. If Sinners wasn't my movie, and I don't remember. It was so long ago. I don't remember what I said about it. I know I was very passionate and spastic. And if you want to see that, you can go check it out in that episode that we did. Because at this point, I kind of watched Sinners from my mind.
It's like erase, leave room for new thing.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to be so negative in the new year, okay? It's hard for me.
Marie, we go to you. What was your drama pick since it wasn't Frankenstein?
You were gonna hate this, Jose. I just watched this movie 2 nights ago, kind of by accident. I wasn't feeling very well. I was falling asleep on the couch. I'm like, I'm just gonna sleep on the couch. And my husband's like, okay, I'm just gonna watch this movie then. He turned it on, and from the first freaking cello hit in the score, I was like, uh-oh, I'm not going to be able to fall asleep. I'm going to have to watch this movie because I heard this deep ass cello. I'm like, something's going to be good in this movie. And my movie is, oh, Jose, you ready?
What is it?
House of Dynamite.
Oh my God.
Did
Yup.
not see that coming.
No, neither did I, because I knew going into it, because I talked to Jose about it, and he was like, this movie had, I know how you are about payoffs, okay? So I was going into it being like, this movie isn't going to have a satisfying payoff. So I was like, okay, I know that going into it. So maybe that helped, because I was along for the experience without expecting to know much at the end, which I actually didn't care at all about the fact that I didn't get an answer. I didn't, because I was so invested into everything happening where I was like, there also cannot be a right answer to what's happening to this because there is no right answer. So no matter what happens, we're never going to know if it's the right or wrong thing because the whole story, we don't know what's right or wrong during this thing. I'm not trying not to give very many things away, but it was the perspective from different parts of the government while a nuclear bomb is heading towards America. And it's the process of what are we going to do in 20 minutes from different perspectives of different parts of like government and everything like that. And I was so tired. I felt so sick. And I was like, I have to watch. I have to watch. And it wasn't about knowing what was going to happen at the end. It was just, I was along for all of it and invested in I thought every single performance was effing perfect. I thought all the score was so good. Sorry, the cello got me hooked. And I just thought I love the way it was set up in like different chapters. It's explaining the different parts of like the military stuff and just seeing everyone's reaction. It was a very emotional, extremely emotional, panic-filled movie without anything really happening. And I'm like, if you could do that without anything really happening and you made me feel so much, there's parts where I was like, what? No. And like all this stuff. And I'm like, what are they gonna do? And like I know it, like, what are they gonna do? What can they do? How? There's no way to know what to do. It was just it was really, the story actually was like very simple but brilliantly done and executed. And I know how Jose, I know how you feel about it. That's why I was like, when I say this, he's gonna be so pissed. And then I woke up the next day and I was still thinking about it. And to this day, I'm still thinking about it because this could easily be like a horror movie because this is real life horror shit. This could happen at any time. Even if it did happen, we'd never know. And it's terrifying. It's too real and it's too like this could happen any day now. And we're we don't know. And all our fate is in these people's hands and they don't even know what to fucking do. Like, oh, I don't know. It was just it had a lot of layers of emotion to it and fear and drama. And I just loved the storytelling, regardless of how it ended. Because there's also glimpses throughout the whole movie where it's like, oh, this first chapter is over. Okay, I know how it's going to end then. Because all the chapters ended the same. And I was like, I liked it. I was like, you bastards, you did that. Like, you didn't give a fuck. You just ended it like that. And I loved it.
I did
Jose,
share
would you like to
something with
explain why
you.
you didn't like the movie?
I did share something with you. It is the fact that I was thinking about it the next day, but not for the same reasons.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, I
but
was like,
but
yeah,
I will not be discussing it right now because I will be talking about that movie later
yes,
on in this
dang it.
episode. George, do you have any thoughts on that one before we go to the next
uh,
category?
I wasn't planning on watching that movie to begin with, and I remember when you talked to us in the group's chat, and you're like how you were very upset about that movie, and I was like, well, I wasn't interested anyway, so okay, I guess I dodged a bullet. And I heard a review a couple days ago about it from like a trusted reviewer or whatever, and I've been seeing this on a lot of lists of not liked movies. So to hear someone talk about it so positively, I'm actually kind of shocked right now. So I don't know. Now I'm torn. Maybe I should watch it.
I was really
I
invested the
could be
whole
the
way through.
deciding factor.
Yeah, I mean, if you know what you know going into it, now that you know what you know, it helps. Like it helps because, but even like my husband hasn't seen it, and when he started watching it, I didn't say anything about what you said, Jose, because I was like, I just want to see what he thinks. And even though at the end he was kind of pissed off about that one aspect, he's like, I dreamt about nuclear bombs the whole night. I couldn't get to like he was really affected by it. And he was like, you know what? I actually really like that movie, regardless of this fact. And also that fact that you like of the reason why you don't like it, which I totally see, it can for some people possibly elevate things in certain ways. I don't know. Sometimes things don't need to be tied up in a little bow. Maybe it's just like let your mind take it, you know? I don't know. I just thought it was too good the whole way through not to, yeah. That's why I like Begonia. I didn't like the ending, but goddamn, I can't ignore the rest of that.
I have a question because I am fully aware of what happens in this movie. So it's
Hmm.
not there's no spoilers for me. When I hear about this movie and when I read about it, it reminds me of another movie called Shin Godzilla. I don't know have you guys seen
Mm.
that yet?
Luke has, but I
No.
haven't. Yeah, Luke
Okay.
loves it.
I advise watching it. It's a really good movie. I would say it's just under Godzilla minus one in a sense of like quality and suspense and drama. But a lot of it takes place in the situations like we're in this movie, where you're seeing it from
Mm.
the perspective of the military, from the government, and how do they deal with this monumental threat that is gonna like attack their whole existence. Instead of it being a bomb, though, it's Godzilla. So I'm curious how you would appreciate that movie in comparison to this one. I think Jose would appreciate Shin Godzilla more because you get a
Yeah.
payoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out. That is on the list. I haven't seen it, but I'll
it's
give my
it's
Mm.
worth
thoughts on
it's worth
possibly
it.
on that.
It's quite destructive.
Shifting over to comedy for my choice
Shit.
here, I went with Roofman. Now this was a movie not on my radar at all, and I watched it randomly on a whim, and the movie was just a pleasant surprise. This movie doesn't overdo it with the humor in a way that lets it detract from the story that it's telling. So it's more like a drama comedy. Channing Tatum does a good job in this role, and the story does an excellent job of showing this heavily flawed yet sympathetic character that you root for, to the very end. And you feel for this character and root for them even when they're not making the right decisions. And, that's something that's not always nailed in movies that tend to sometimes go too black and white and they struggle in the gray area. And this movie does a good job of, again, showing you this flawed character that's making bad decisions, sometimes decisions that may negatively affect other people, but it's like you feel and you understand and you kind of feel bad for them. And in the the way the story is told and the performance of Channing Tatum, it helps emphasize that. Now, it is based on the true story. If you aren't aware of the real story, I recommend give this a watch first, so like nothing's ruined. You kind of get the full experience. But if you are aware of the story, I still think it's worth the watch. Yeah, this movie came out of nowhere for me. You got some really strong performances, and at the end of it, I was still kind of thinking about it in a sad way, when it came to the character and just being like how a thing here or there could have changed everything. When you have a character who does bad things, but the intentions are not bad. And it's just everything kind of piles on and compiles, and you get this snowball effect where you almost want to like reach in and just kind of shake the character and be like, come on, just don't make that decision type aspect. And this
Yeah.
gave me that feeling through it. So it was a pleasant surprise, under the radar movie that I feel didn't get as much attention as it probably should have, and a good role for Channing. George, what was your pick for comedy?
We have said it already, and it is Begonia because
Oh, yeah.
I had
Okay. See,
because it is a satire, but for me, I felt like it poked at every side of the aisle in the political spectrum. Like everyone kind of got of like, hey, look at you, you're doing things wrong. It's like we all
mhm.
see it, you silly person, stop doing that. Like I feel like it's a lot of movies have something to say, and it's always just like this side's wrong, this side's wrong, and there's never like a middle ground. For me, I really felt this movie had a good middle ground where everyone's wrong, everyone's right. It just depends how you want to see it, of course. And
Mhm.
my wife watched this with me, and when she saw me putting this in the comments, she's like, "But where were the jokes?" And it's just like, I was like, that's the thing with satires. Satires aren't going to hit everyone the same way like a straight up Anchorman comedy is going to hit you. Like, and a lot of times it's very dark comedy too. The things that you're
Yeah.
laughing at, you gotta have a slightly twisted mind to enjoy some of it.
Mhm.
So that's a big part of it, honestly.
You say it's satire, but was it though?
Well, to Marie's point, there's a thing at the end that happens that I will not say, where my experience was skewed because I didn't have subtitles,
Yeah. And
while
when you
apparently
told me, I
everyone
was
else
like,
did.
yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
odd that you didn't. Make sure there's subtitles at the end, everyone,
No,
because
no,
it,
I'd
it
say
kind of.
make sure there aren't subtitles.
Oh,
Because
you
without
know
the
what? No,
subtitles, it changes the whole perspective of the whole movie.
I preferred your way without the subtitles actually, because it is, yeah, because yeah, okay, we don't want, yeah,
Yeah.
but yes, I liked George's ending better than what is the real ending.
And Jose, when you watch it, I'll tell you what that is.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna check it out. Maybe I'll check it out this weekend.
Yeah.
All right, Marie, what is your comedy pick?
So after looking at the comedies that came out this year that didn't lie under family comedies, I saw one, and that was Happy Gilmore 2.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did not throw up my mouth right now. Continue.
Oh
It's a good
no.
pick. That's a good.
No, that's the only one I saw. And you know what though? I will say this. It was stupid as hell, but I didn't hate it. I laughed. I was like, this is not like a great movie, but I was like, it was exactly what I expected it to be. I'll just put it that way. So it wasn't like, oh, what a piece of shit. I was like, no, this tracks. This is exactly what I thought it was gonna be. And I laughed at times. So that's the only one I saw, except for my family movies that I saw. I'm a dark, disturbed person. I don't watch a lot of comedies. If I want to watch a movie, I want to cry my eyes out or be scared or disturbed. So I didn't watch a lot of comedies, even though there are some disturbing things in Happy Gilmore too. I'm gonna say that's the only one I saw, and I didn't hate it. There you go.
Never saw it, and I had not even an inkling of interest in watching it from anything that I saw from it. I was like, this is good for me to wipe out of my mind before I even watch it. And it just like, never
I don't know.
even
It wasn't
visited.
terrible. I didn't hate it. I had a fun time. That's all I have to say about it. Like, yes, it was cameo loaded, and like, I mean,
Yeah.
it was exactly what you expected. If you go in expecting it to be stupid, then you might like it more than people who went in expecting, I don't know what they could have expected that would have let them down so much, because it's obviously going to be really dumb.
Did you
And it's
watch the
not the
first
90s.
one?
And
Did you?
well, yeah, and it's not the 90s anymore. So that type of humor is different now, and you can't do it the same. Like, it's just that we don't live there anymore. The 90s are gone, unfortunately. So we have to kind of adapt to what they're going to be showing us now. And it's, yeah. So I just kind of put that hat on and I was like, oh, it's fine.
We'll see how Happy Gilmore 3 comes out, how that goes.
Yeah.
I, I gotta
Uh,
say, in the words of Marie, I didn't watch it, and it's not for me. But I'm happy that you enjoyed
Yeah, see?
because
Yeah.
Lord knows for me, I stopped watching Adam Sandler films
Yeah.
probably in the early 2000s. And the last one I saw was I Pronounce You Chuck and Larry or
Chuck
whatever
and
that was.
Larry.
That's the last Adam Sandler movie I watched from beginning to end. I've been done with this guy for a long time.
See, I liked Uncut Gems. That's probably the last one I watched, and I was just like, I like this.
I should
I
watch
haven't seen
Uncut
that,
Gems.
but
Like I
me
should
too.
watch his drama films, but
Yeah.
I guess I'm just so done with him that I'm being unfair. And I'm
Yeah.
aware of that. I'm fully aware.
Uncut Gems is like apparently amazing. Like I don't even know if I've seen a bad thing about that one. I don't know if
Neither
I
have I.
have, but
Yeah, no.
I haven't seen it yet.
That one's definitely worth the watch. And actually fits in with the next category we're gonna do, which is suspense thriller. Actually, my pick we've already talked about and I discussed. It was Sinners, so we can move on. To George, what is your suspense thriller pick?
Mine is another one of those that just hopped around on my list for a second, and that is Weapons by
Hmm.
Zach Kreger. Yeah,
I'm glad
this
someone brought it up because that was debating for my horror for a little bit there.
I was debating this movie just after watching it. I had to like sit back and just kind of think things over. I was like, what did it? Okay, I understood what I watched. I get it all. Now, how do I feel about this? I was just really questioning things for a bit. And over time, like the day after, I was like, damn, that was a really good movie. Like, I think I really thoroughly enjoyed that movie. And like, I was surprised. And it's because like, I think it's because our conversations with like Barbarian and with how that movie was. And I was curious what his next movie was going to be. And he continues to be different. Like he definitely doesn't. He tells his story his way. He doesn't decide to do things anyone else's way. And I think that's first and foremost. I love that. Having your own voice and having it being told from different perspectives can be a chance. You're taking a risk doing that way. You have a movie like you had, was it House of Dynamite, whatever. You had that many perspectives, and sometimes you can lose people, with these perspectives. But in this one, with each new person that you're seeing this story get unfolded from, you're getting a little bit more information while still having a lot more questions. Like the suspense and thrilling aspect of it continues to climb and tighten. Like I'm still left wondering, it's like, okay, what's gonna happen? Like I think I know what's going on, but I don't fully know yet. And like I'm just left wondering a lot. By the end, I'm left just mortified and left with anguish for the characters that survive this situation. And it ended up being this very, I don't think I'm spoiling it too much if I say this. Maybe we'll see. It was like a retelling of Hansel and Gretel to some extent, for like a modern era. And yeah, I don't want to spoil anything for this movie because I feel like there's a decent surprise at the end. But yeah, this one really had me going. Like I started thinking about the psychology of the characters and what they had to go through and what they're going to continue to go through after the movie's done, like how their story continues through adulthood. How do they live, and how do they get back to normal? Is there a normal for them?
No, I'm glad you picked this. Like I said, I debated putting this on the list, and I was just like, all right, I hope it gets put on. Fresh after watching it, like coming right out of the theater, I was a little bit conflicted because there was a certain aspect of the ending that I personally was not feeling in that moment. But as I kind of stewed with it, my dislike for that part just kind of faded enough because there were so many other good things that were done in that movie. And I just remember as I was watching it, I was fully invested, like throughout. The tension that was built, and then just kept, like as you said, escalating. The more we were finding out, the closer we were getting to the conclusion of it. And you sit back and you look at the story and what is happening, and like you said, what happened to these characters, and there's just such a level of disturbance in it when you look at the full picture, where it's like you have to keep thinking about the movie. And this movie had me thinking for a while. There'll be days later and I was like, oh man, like this thing right here, and like this person. So, if a movie can have that post effect, those post quake tremors,
Yeah.
that happens afterwards, I think you did your job as a movie, especially when it comes to horror, suspense, thriller, like those type of movies. You're looking for that type of impact, that certain uneasiness with those type of stories, and I feel they nailed it. And compared to Barbarian, which I thought was 50% of a good movie, 50% of a generic trash heap, this was a complete movie. Definitely, I have to give him his credit, and I'm hoping this he keeps on in this trajectory for his next movie.
When you're saying the post-quake tremors, is that what you said?
Yeah.
That's how I felt about House of Dynamite. Sorry, that's all I'm saying. I'm still thinking about that movie. I mean, it got me. It got me thinking, you know? Anyway, weapons. I did not like Barbarian, like you said, 50, half a good movie, half of a movie, or the subject matter. I did not like it. So going into this, I was a little skeptical, but I was pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed weapons. Was I was one of those things where I'm so glad I was wrong going into it. Man, the whole time I'm watching it, my brain sometimes tries to, doesn't try to, but sometimes unintentionally picks up like allegories for other things that the story could be about. It doesn't have to be looked at this way. But to me, I was like, this feels like an allegory for certain types of child abuse. So that it hit me a little harder, maybe because my brain went to that place, that dark place where what was happening to the children was very similar to what happens to children who suffer from certain types of abuse. So there's parts of it where near the end where I was crying, it really hit me emotionally, but partially because I was viewing it from a deeper disturbing, see, I'm a deeply disturbed individual. So I was looking at it from a more disturbing aspect than maybe it was intended, but I like that it made me think that way though. That there could have been that deeper layer to the movie again I don't want to give too much away or say anything about the story, but yeah, Weapons was a pleasant surprise and it was a lot deeper and sadder than I was expecting. Like it was a sad movie. So I was kind of expecting like a more funny, goofy horror movie like Barbarian, which was really goofy, even though the subject matter was intentionally dark. Like Barbarian had a really dark, disturbing, in your face story, but then with goofy overtones, which to me didn't match. But this I felt was gonna be more goofy, but it just had like to me that dark sadness that I was like kind of wanting. So yeah, it was a pleasant surprise.
Marie, what is your suspense thriller?
Okay, this one could have been drama as well, but it said it falls under thriller, so I picked it. And that was Eddington. Eddington is a acquired
Unique.
taste. It's a unique and acquired taste. I love Ari Aster. I haven't seen Beau is Afraid yet, but I did learn that he filmed. I watched the interview thing with Ari Aster. I mean, Hereditary is one of my favorite movies. Midsummer as well. But I did watch an interview with him, and he filmed Beau is Afraid during the pandemic, which kind of gave me more clarity as to why Eddington was made and why it was made the way it was made. So it takes place during pandemic time, like 2020. And I've seen a lot of reviews, like on Instagram, I follow a lot of movie review pages, and the majority of the reviews that I saw were highly negative. And because of the people who reviewed it, I understand why they reviewed it so low. And this movie's okay. I said it like F1 because there's no message or whatever propaganda or whatever agenda. There's nothing of that in there, political thing. But I do like a movie that is if I go into a movie and that's all it's about, that's the main focus, then it's like, okay, you're telling a story strictly about this. It's not like a hidden slip of something in there. You know what I mean? So that's what this movie is about. Not filmed, but the story takes place 2020. Joaquin Phoenix is the sheriff of a town. Pedro Pascal is the mayor of a town. It's pandemic times. And seeing these negative reviews and seeing the positive reviews, I think it depends on how you felt and where your kind of stance was mentally and emotionally during the pandemic. That will strongly influence how you feel about this movie. And I think that when you're watching the movie, you'll also realize what kind of, I don't want to say side you were on during the whole thing, but I mean, it was something that tore a lot of people and families and everybody apart. So there were sides. So I think it was a pretty ballsy movie to make. I'm kind of shocked to be honest, because my husband and I were watching it, we're like, oh my God, they're saying this, like they're showing this, and which I appreciated. The end, there's a bit of the ending that gets a little bit intense and little like, what's this? But if you know certain things, if you're like me and you are like a more of a conspiracy theorist and you are on a certain side of certain things, then you know what they're saying with some of the ending. And then it gets to the ending, which is so profoundly sad. Just so, and maybe it won't be profoundly sad to some people who watch it, who think certain ways, they'd watch it and be like happy. But to me, it was profoundly sad. I can't say much. Also, I probably can't say much because we'll get flagged and banned from the internet and YouTube. But anyway, I loved Eddington. I think it was a brave as fuck movie to put out, and everything was shot great. Performances were all great. I think it's like a really important movie, and it can make you like feel certain things or realize certain things. Some people about themselves and how they feel about certain things. I'll just put it that way.
I think we briefly discussed this when it came out, and this was a movie where finished it and I was just like, did I like that? Wait, I think I liked that. Like I did like that, and like the more I thought about it, I'm like, okay, I did enjoy that because as a whole, the movie felt like when you take a long ride and then all of a sudden you're like, it's like you're driving the car, but it's like you wake up, you're like, wait, how did I get here? Like, how did I end up here? You kind of go into like that autopilot because it's this movie's a ride and it goes
Yeah.
so many different places in this. And you kind of start off at point A, then you're all the way in point T, and then you're back to like C. Like the way it runs, it incorporates so many elements and things escalate in such a fashion that at the end you're kind of left feeling like, how did we get from there to here? But then you think about it and you're like, but I did enjoy the ride getting there. So I think that's what makes it a polarizing movie. I'm on the side that did enjoy it. You have great performances through it. It is a very well done movie, but I can see how it can be polarizing because it's so much is thrown at you. You barely have a chance to digest certain parts before you get into the next part. And it's just like now you focus on that part. So yeah, it's a hard movie to talk to without spoiling anything or getting into certain things. But I think it's whether which side of the polarization you're in, it's definitely worth the watch because it is a good movie and a well done movie with strong performances. Moving on to our next category, we have animated or family. My pick, lean more towards the animated, not so much the family aspect of it. And I went with in actually a second appearance by an IP. I went with Predator, Killer of
Oh,
Killers.
okay.
I thought
Um,
something else was coming.
Me too.
it's probably the one I was debating back and forth
Yeah.
about, but I had to go with this. Like I wanted to avoid having two Predator projects on here. But I just couldn't leave this movie out. I just couldn't, especially in this category. You know, this is basically like three mini Predator movies in one, with each of them giving you something different. You know, you get different types of Predator, you in different eras with different styles of combat. Hell, they even gave me a type of Predator battle that I hadn't even crossed my mind as a possibility. But when I saw it, I was like, oh shit, I didn't know I needed that, but I did need that. And thank you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I felt about it. You know, forget animated. This is just a good movie. And, you know, for viewers out there, if you haven't seen it, don't be fooled by it being animation. This is not for kids. This is bloody. This is violent. If you make this live action, that's, you know, easily gonna be a rated R, maybe even higher like movie you would translate it there. Definitely worth the watch if you're a fan of it, and just another way that Trachtenberg has expanded this world. And by the end of it, it makes you want to see more. And then it connects in certain ways where it's just like, okay, yes, put it into my veins, all of it. This had to be my pick over certain other animated ones that I also enjoyed overall, but this movie needs the love.
Thank you for putting it on there because I don't know how I forgot about it. because this was an awesome freaking thing. I was so impressed with this, and I want to honestly, this deserves a whole series. If they told me tomorrow they're gonna make an animated feature, like a series that we can watch on a weekly basis, hell yeah! Like we've never had an adult like animated series like R-rated like this before. That'd be so awesome. Forget giving us more Simpsons copies. Give us this. I would love to see more of this, honestly. And I know what you're talking about, Jose. It's that third part of the film, and that's just freaking
Yep.
yeah. And you're wondering why we're not talking about it because we want you to see it. All right, that's why we're not saying what it is. Okay, we want. So if you haven't watched it, Marie, we hope you have. But
No,
it's like it's so
no.
freaking good. You didn't know it deserved to be in your life, but more of it deserves to be in our life. And I want to see it go further. I think that was just like a little crumb of how further that can go. Honestly, with that third part of this, it's oh man, no chef's kiss. All the chefs be kissing it. All right,
Yeah, just straight makeout session with all the
yeah.
chefs in there. Yeah, you go in there and then they look at you in the eyes after and they say, "Yes, chef." You know.
Yeah, and it's a good watch to watch this and then go into watching Predator Badlands because then you feel like you're being like escorted into that movie.
I do want to say, and again, it's just more praise for Trachtenberg, is he gave us Prey, which gave the fans back what they had lost with the Predator movies. It brought us back to the original. It pretty much he opened the door, walked you over to the living room, and they're like, "Remember that comfy couch you used to love that got thrown away? Here it is. Go back in there. Still has the imprint of your ass cheek in it, like nice and comfy." And you sat in there and you're like, "Oh, yes, it's kind of actually still warm." And you got comfortable. And as soon as you got comfortable, then he's like, "Now let me expand your world. Let me give you more now that you got what you loved before." And that's what he has
Here's an
been doing.
ottoman. Here's a mini
Yes.
fridge. Here's
Yeah. Here we go. You see that button? It lights up. There's a cup holder there. We added a massager to it. Like that's pretty much what he has done. He brought you into what you know and love, and then he's just slowly expanding your world. And I think it's probably the best strategy you could have done with this project that was in fumes at this point in time. So more big ups and props for him.
Okay, we can agree and disagree on a lot of things on this channel and for the viewers and everything, but if you guys don't agree that these men know how to make you want to watch stuff with their imagery and paint a picture where you're like, damn, I gotta see this, then you are wrong. Okay, we can have differences, but you can't disagree with that.
George, we'll move on to you. What is your pick for I'm curious.
I think I may have the other thing you might have picked, and that is K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yes,
Yes,
that was
I
the
knew
answer
one of
I
you
thought
boys
of.
would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was obvious I was going to pick this because I was the one who I feel like got the whole group to watch this, right?
Yes,
I
you
don't
were.
think anyone's seen it until I brought it up.
No, I went off of your recommendation is when
Yeah.
I watched that.
Hmm.
And in my opinion, this to me, this is the final nail in the coffin for Disney slash Pixar. Sony has now elevated itself to me as the number one for animated films right now. They have not slipped up. I feel like they've been on a roll with everything they've come out with, and unjustly have had two films now that did not go straight to theaters. First being The Mitchells versus the Machines, and now K-pop Demon Hunters.
Which is
Now,
their fault. They sold it to Netflix thinking they
exactly.
weren't gonna make money off of it.
Yeah, like I don't know why they didn't have faith in this movie because it was phenomenal. Like it's animation first and foremost, the tops. Like it learns from what they got from the Spider-Verse while borrowing from the awesome zaniness and dynamic angles that anime can give you. And then there's the music. Here's the thing, like being someone who was raised on stage musicals and performing in them, a musical, its songs are supposed to be as integral as the dialogue itself, and they are in this movie. Like every song serves a purpose towards driving the story forward. If you took one of them out, you're losing a big part of information. So like the music is not just there for fluff and that. It's there part of the story, and I love it so much. Plus, it is poppy. It stays in your ear for a long time till today. I was listening to music on the drive from getting breakfast. So it's like it's great earworm music with having great story elements to it. Something I thought to myself, it's like we're in an era where like one-liners are kind of gone. I don't know the last movie I saw where I had a good one-liner came from it and I remembered it. But the music in this serves as a one-liner to me, where like it's in my head on repeat, and I can't but say it, but like it shows us how it's done, done, done. But
I I think this is a good. This is the other one I was debating with, and I would just say, well, if I don't pick it, I know George is gonna pick it anyway. You're right about the music. It is so catchy, and it's like the movie itself. There's a scene where the boy band's song is playing, and obviously they don't like the boy band, but when the song is playing, they can't help it. Like they start doing the dance, and it's like that's what this music and this provides. Like even if you're doing something else, the music comes on and it's just so catchy to it that you kind of you start going and you can't help but remember some of the words from it. And that's the thing. And when certain songs come out, the scene comes right back to you. And I think that's a plus in these type of movies where it's like there's that in George you kind of touched on, there's that interconnection between the music and the scenes happening, where when you remember the scene you remember the song, when you hear the song you remember the scene. And
Mhm.
and I think that's because there's been other movies in the past where you might remember a song from it. It might have a soundtrack song from it, and you really enjoy the song, but the scene itself might not click in detail. This movie does it both, where I can almost remember the entire scene while listening to the song as they were singing it. So it's definitely worth it. I can see why it became the sensation that it became, and a big fumble by Sony on this one.
I watched it with my daughter, and that was a really good experience. And I heard those songs sung in my house on repeat all day for like a month afterwards. And it was good. But I really liked the message at the end. We had
By
a
your
little
husband.
talk. Yeah, yeah. Actually, I didn't want to call him out like that, but sometimes though, you're right. But I really like the message at the end. I had a little talk with my daughter about the message at the end. I got a little weepy eyed and I was like, this is an important message because of this. And I was saying, and it was just, yeah, it's a good one. I knew you got one of you were gonna pick that one, and it'd be a shame if it wasn't mentioned because it was definitely worth the acknowledgement. It's a good one.
I am curious what your pick is going to be because I couldn't think of other animated movies beyond those two. So I am curious what yours will be.
Well, it was animated slash
Oh
family.
yeah, family. Yes, correct. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
animated.
Okay, and mine is partially animated. Listen, it's not a superb film, right? But again, this to me was more about the experience of watching it with my kids. And it was the Minecraft movie
Oh, okay.
because
I haven't seen
yeah,
it.
our kids have been playing Minecraft for years
Yeah.
now. My son started, my daughter, and so there's been a lot of Minecraft in our house. A lot of Minecraft Lego, a lot of Minecraft game playing, online game playing with friends with Minecraft. So it's like we were already immersed in the world, and it didn't hit as hard as like the Super Mario movie watching that with the kids, but this movie still had a very much like it just touched my heart sharing that with my kids and seeing them being excited of certain things and us knowing things about it, and it was fun. I don't care. Jack Black was funny. Everything, it was just a fun, funny, really good, like turn off your brain and heartwarming. Everything, it was just good. Like sometimes when I don't want to watch dark, spooky, scary stuff, I do watch a little lighthearted stuff with my kids, and it was good at for what it was. And I really felt like it honored the game franchise as well. Not that I played it much, but I have witnessed it be played. And it was just like a good, cute, fun movie. And at the end, we were like, actually, I really like that. That actually was fun, and the kids really enjoyed it. So I don't know if you want to just like be kind of silly and stuff. Well, I would recommend it.
I feel like I can understand it, especially if there's a connection to a property or something. Like I
Yeah.
remember I watched, and I thought I thought it was okay. I watched the Five Nights at Freddy's, the original movie. I was like, oh, it's okay, and all that stuff. But I remember speaking with people who played the games, who enjoyed the games, and had that connection with it, and they really enjoyed it because it gave them what they wanted out of it. And that's the thing when you're a fan of a property or you're engaged with a property, or if something's involved, the IP is involved in your life, sometimes just giving you what you want from it supersedes giving you the perfect movie.
Yeah, which I think that was the big thing with this. It's like it showed servicing the fans is not a bad idea all the time. You know,
No,
it's
especially
okay
for
maybe
kids
if you're
mostly.
catering
Yeah.
to a niche crowd.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works out. So hint,
Yeah.
hint, hint, Marvel. It's like hint, 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 Star Wars.
Yeah, God.
There's something beautiful about this that Marie talked about, which is watching or experiencing the movie through the eyes of your child. And like not you don't have to be a parent to experience that. Like I experienced that with my own wife, and like just watching something that I don't appreciate, but seeing her appreciate it makes me appreciate it. You know, like I kind of
Yeah.
enjoy it because I'm seeing how much joy she's getting from it. And that's a special thing. Like if you can watch a movie or something through someone else and just understand why they connect with it, that's a beautiful thing, I think.
I agree
Aw.
100%. Sometimes it makes rewatches of certain things better
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you're able to see someone else enjoying it also. You kind of, even though you're re-experiencing it, in certain parts, you're experiencing someone else experiencing it for the first time. So it kind of like highlights that. So
That's what's gonna happen when you guys watch House of Dynamite again and for the first time. Aw, just
speaking of, we wanted to throw in one extra
Yeah.
question and category here before
Uh,
we head out. We've been talking about our favorites, very positive talk about it. But we had to at least throw one thing in that wasn't a positive end, and it's gonna be our most disappointing movie that we saw this year. Start
oh,
off here. Mine was House of Dynamite, which is coincidentally. I'll try to keep it short and sweet here and not over rant on this, but this is my disappointing movie because this movie had a strong cast and it had a strong concept in the way that it was set up. And you were right, Marie. It hooks you from the beginning with the stakes, with the tension from the very start. So you are fully engaged in this movie right from the start. And it started off so well, so good for most of the movie, but in the end the movie just left you feeling like you wasted the last couple hours of your life. This was the House of Blue Balls, is pretty much what this movie was by the end of
uh,
it. It all, at the end, it all felt so empty and pointless to me. It felt incomplete. Like if someone started telling you a story and right before they finished, they got a call and they had to leave in a hurry, and you're like, well, no, but what? Just you just spent the last 2 hours telling me the story. Like, come on, like tell me the rest. So it just completely wasted the strong performances that it had uh, given you with just what felt like an unfinished project. You know, to bring it back to video games, it felt like a video game that doesn't give you all the content because they want to milk a DLC later. And you finish the game, you're like, where's the rest of it? And they're like, oh, don't worry, 6 months we'll give you a DLC you can pay for. And then we'll give you like the rest of it. That's the same feeling and anger that it gave me in that. And then on top of that, the format of the movie made the fact that you don't have a payoff even worse because technically it's a 30-minute movie that gets repeated and then you never get like the end of it. The wasted potential of what this movie could have been made it the most disappointing for me. Was it the worst movie that I saw all year? No, but it was the most disappointing for that very specific reason.
I
I
love that.
disagree, but yeah, I can see your
Marie's
points.
searching eyes. You're just like, okay, all right, yeah, sure,
No,
whatever.
no, no. Yeah, just to me, the ending was like the point of it. You know what I mean? There is no answer. There is no way it can end.
They could have done that
But
in 40
but then
minutes.
but then again though,
So
but
this
then
could have been an
again,
email.
Jose,
Yeah, what's that movie? Like, you could
yeah.
have sent me an email on this.
But but then again, going into it knowing what I knew from Jose, I think that benefited me greatly because I could definitely see how maybe if I didn't know the disappointment from Jose, that I maybe would have felt the same way. But I was like, set up for it already. So it kind of wasn't like a what,
I took it like if Bill Murray quit before they filmed the ending of Groundhog Day and they still released the movie.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see it.
But George, what is your most disappointing movie of the year?
Okay, so there's many to choose from, but mine's gonna be Tron Ares. That was possibly my most disappointing movie of the year. And it's because they were set up for something that could have been amazing, in my opinion. I thoroughly enjoy
I
Tron
just saw that
Legacy.
too.
Okay, I'm curious how you're gonna feel after I give my thoughts. I love Tron Legacy. I think Tron Legacy is amazing. It takes what Tron, the first movie, started and elevates it to me, and to have it paired with the most perfect music you could have by Daft Punk. I don't think there could have been a better pairing of artist and film ever. Like it's just we talked about how music pairs with a movie and how makes you think of the scene and vice versa and all that kind of stuff. Every song used in that movie accompanies each scene perfectly, and it's just like it. Tron lives in Daft Punk, and it's in their veins, whether they were fans of it or not. It's like I feel it. And when Nine Inch Nails got announced for this movie, I was like, okay, I didn't think there could be a better pair, but Nine Inch Nails is also perfect. Oh shit. I'm like, you're great. I heard the first song come out and I was like, I'm in this. Let's go. I like Jared Leto, despite some of the hate he gets. I still think he's a phenomenal actor. And I knew he had a lot of passion behind this because he loved Tron so much and he couldn't wait to be a part of this thing. And I get excited when an artist is passionate about a project that they're in. It's not just about the paycheck and stuff. It's about like some kind of integrity. Then the movie came out, and I didn't get to see any of that. Whatever integrity there was, it was lost on some page that never got to be put on screen. All right. There's a line from one song, because there's only one song that's actually used for the whole fucking movie by Nine Inch Nails, and that's the chorus is "Give me something to believe in." That's what I wanted. I wanted something to believe in because there was nothing. All right. Sure, there was some pretty effects, there was some decent action scenes and stuff like that, but like there could have been so much more. Ares is the god of war. His backup person is Athena, the goddess of war. I wanted fucking chaos. All right. If you're having these fucking things from Dillinger, and we're supposed to be the enemy, the true bad guy from the first Tron movie, give me all of that. And I had no passion. I had no care for any of the characters. Honestly, I didn't give a crap about anybody. Like there's all heartless characters. Like there's no emotion, and to introduce these new people to push out the old ones, and it took away all of the journey and effort that they put into Legacy. The whole thing of Flynn's family and everything, like it was a joke, and it also introduced new things that didn't make any sense. Like it was just so much potential, so much promise. And the thing about Tron too, it's like it's always been an underdog for Disney. It's one of their few original IPs that they have that when first Tron came out, it was a flop, but over time became a cult classic. Tron Legacy came out, it was a flop, but became a cult classic. I don't see a cult classic here, honestly. If I'm curious who the audience is for this and who it's going to be in 20 years, because it's infuriating. And all I'd say, because there actually is a grain of good in this, which is the origin story of the villain. That's what this movie is. It's an origin story for the villain that you have to hope they make a sequel for, that you have to hope is actually good. Because if they don't ever make a sequel to it, and if they don't, and if that doesn't end up being good, it ends up being just like what Jose just described from the last movie we just talked about. And so that's my fear for this, is that we're just going to have another House of Dynamite, all right? A movie that I have not seen that I'm partaking on the shittery of, only because it's just fun. But Tron Ares, oh man, so much potential from a company that has endless amounts of money, and how you just drop the ball, I just don't know. And the music, this should have been great music, and there's only one decent song. I'm sorry, I feel like this was an episode of me just getting upset. But what did you guys watch Tron Ares? How did you think?
No, and I will not. Thank you, George.
I saw it recently, a few weeks ago. First of all, I don't think we're gonna get another Tron. I feel this was
I don't think so
Disney
either.
testing the waters. And look how long it took them to do Legacy, and Legacy ended up building up a following. And I still think Legacy holds up to this day. It's still
It
a good
does.
movie. But it took them this long because they don't have that confidence in that IP. So with the failure of this one, I don't think we see another one. I'm probably not as disappointed as you are in it because as soon as I saw Jared Leto attached, my expectations automatically went down. Not because I think he's a terrible actor. I don't think he's a terrible actor. I think he can act. Um, but he just does not have a good recent track records of movies going forward. So it was just like, regardless of his talent, either he's picking bad movies in there or the movies are getting worse when he joins them. I don't know. But either way, the movies aren't good that he's coming out with. So that automatically brought my expectations down. Marie, what was your disappointing movie?
It was Sinners, and if you want to know why, please check out our other episode that we did. Yeah, it was Sinners. I was really looking forward to Sinners, especially with all the hype around Sinners and everyone loving it so much. And something must be faulty in my heart or brain because I just wasn't on board. I didn't care about anybody. I wasn't feeling a goddamn thing. I didn't
You're
like it.
heartless.
Clearly,
You feel nothing,
I
Marie.
am.
It's like you
I
have
feel
no
nothing.
emotions.
I know, but see, but that's weird to me. That's why I was
Yeah.
like, what the hell is going on for me not to feel anything in this goddamn movie? Like what's up? Like, I mean, it's not that hard. Be crying at commercials over here. Like, I just don't, yeah, I just don't like it. I don't remember all the reasons why. Like I said, I feel like I watched that movie like 4 years ago. So
But we've covered some of our favorites and we've covered our disappointment for 2025. Now we move on to 2026. So I want to thank those of you who joined us for this bonus NAS episode. If you did enjoy this episode and want to catch on some of our previous one, also as well as some of our future ones, please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you're alerted when we do drop some of those future episodes. And going into 2026, we are going to be dropping those episodes and start formulating our list for next year of what some of our favorite movies are from this year. And let's see what disappoints us, what gets us excited, and what do we never want to remember again. So you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and wherever else podcasts are found. And if you love all of our amazing personalities or you just want to hate watch us, you can find us at Not a Strong Start on all major social media platforms. And as always, we might not always have a strong start. I'm not going to house of dynamite this. I'll give you the ending. But we guarantee to sometimes maybe have a strong finish. Until next time.